Today, in the series of Sephardic poetry, we're going to talk about a beautiful piyut, a poem by Yehudah HaLevi. The name of the poem is Yonat Rehokim, the Forlorn Dove. First, I'll read the text of the piyut in Hebrew. As I said, the piyut was written by Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi, who lived from 1075 to 1141, and is considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest poet of the Jewish people. The words in Hebrew: Yonat Rehokim nadeda ya'ara, kashela velo yachela lehitna'ara, hit'ofafa, hitnofafa, hofafa, saviv ledoda, sohara, so'ara. ותחשוב אלף לקץ מועדה, אך חפרה מכל אשר שערה. דודה אשר עינה באורך נדוד, שנים ונפשה אל שאול הערה. הן אמרה לא אזכרה עוד שמו, ויהי בתוך ליבה כאש בוערה. למה כאויב תהיה לה והיא, פיה למלכוש ישעך פערה. ותאמין נפשה ולא נואשה, אם כבדה בשמו ואם צערה. יבוא אלוהינו ואל יחרש, על כל סביביו אש מאוד נסערה. English, this is my translation. So maybe there are other translations, but this is how I think this piyut should be translated. The forlorn dove wandered to the forest. She stumbled and could not rise up. Hovering, flapping, suspended over her beloved, circling, frantic, she thought 1,000 to be the end, but was ashamed of all her hopes. Her beloved, who tortured her in long exile, years, and her soul poured to Sheol. She said, I will mention his name no more, but it was like fire burning in her heart. Why would you be our enemy? And she? Her mouth opened to your reign of redemption. Her soul trusted, she never despaired, whether she was honored or belittled by his name. Let our God come and not keep quiet, surrounded by his stormy fire. So now, go back to the top of the piyut. The name of the piyut, Yonat Rehokim. This is a theme. The theme of the Yonah, of the wandering dove, is a very common theme in the Arabic medieval poetry called adab. Usually it is used in a love song to describe longing, wandering, separation, and the Jewish poets took it and appropriated it to use sometimes in love songs, but also in songs of longing and prayer to Hashem. So here, the Yonah, the dove, represents Am Yisrael, and the first verse, Yonat Rehokim nadeda ya'ara. Yonat Rehokim, the forlorn dove. The construct is not really correct in Hebrew, because it's Yonat, the dove is Rehoka itself. The dove is the one which is far away, but in Hebrew it's like the dove of those who are far away. The source in the Tanakh for that, as many of the themes and combinations of words in the Sephardic poetry as are taken from Tanakh, is Tehillim, Psalm 56:1. Lamnatzeach al Yonat Elem Rehokim leDavid Michtam. So in the original pasuk is Yonat Elem Rehokim, the dove which keeps quiet and is far away. So it, in both cases, it stands for separation and for inability to speak. So that Yonat Rehokim is the dove that symbolizes Am Yisrael, and it has wandered to the forest. That is analogous to the exile. Kashela velo yachla litna'ara. She stumbled and could not rise up. Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi here speaks about the long years in exile, and as Am Yisrael stumbles down and cannot get up. Also reminds us of the pasuk, Nafela lo tusif kum betulat Yisrael. In Echa, the daughter of Israel fell; she cannot rise again, and that was the feeling of Israel, of the Jews in diaspora, being persecuted and going through one war after another. Now, in the next stanza, we read, Hit'ofafa, hitnofafa, hofafa, hovering, flapping, suspended, or covering with its wings over the head of her beloved, who is Hashem, who is God. The element that the poet added here is the alliteration, or shirshur in Hebrew. When we hear the letters fa, hit ofafa, it nofafa, hofafa, as the flapping of the wings. So we can actually hear in the words, in a way we would call also onomatopoeia, in the words themselves, we hear the noise that is created, the sound which is created with the flapping of the wings. So we could see that dove desperately flying around her beloved, trying to get back to him. And remember that the dove is also the symbol of loyalty. Just as Noah sent the dove away from the ark, and it came back to him again and again, and that's why doves were used to deliver messages, messenger doves. So here also, she tries to come back to her beloved. Sohara, sohara. Sohara is from the word sehor, sehor. She's encircling him, going in circles. Sohara, and she's frantic from the word se'ara, storm. There's a stormy mood. She's so desperate and agitated, and she tries to get back to him. Vatahashov elef leketz mo'ada. She thought 1,000 to be the end, meaning that people thought that 1,000 years after the destruction, the redemption will come. Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi was born in 1075, about 5 years after the end of the millennium. So people were really expecting big things to happen, and it did not happen. So he says, we hoped to be redeemed after 1,000 years from the destruction, but we were ashamed, we were disappointed, and our hopes and our aspirations did not come true. Rather, Doda asher einah be'orech nidod shanim. The words in the poem are broken differently. Doda asher einah be'orech nidod shanim v'nafsha el sheol era. That's for the poetic meter. But the way to read it is Doda asher einah be'orech nidod shanim. Her beloved has tortured her in long exile. Those are very powerful words. This Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi argues with God. He says, you have tortured us, the exile is too long, it's about time you redeem us. Not only that, he says, V'nafsha el sheol era, you have poured our soul to Sheol, to the netherworld, meaning that Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi speaks to God and says, why are you pushing us to the cliff where we have nowhere to go? Remember that the book, the famous book of Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi, is a book of philosophy, HaKuzari. The original name was the Book of Defense of the Persecuted and Belittled Religion. Ktav Hagana Ladat HaBzuya VeHaRedufa. So that was the feeling that Jews had, even in Spain at the time, because that came after the attacks of the Muwahidun and the Murabitun, the Mowahids and the Moravids, who stormed through Spain. And he says this, Hena amira lo ezkera od shemo, vahi betoch libah ke'esh bo'ara. She said, I will mention his name no more, but in her heart, he was like burning fire. This is a paraphrasing on the statement of Yirmiyahu in chapter 27, I think in Yirmiyahu, we find the following. Yirmiyahu, who constantly had to fight with the people, or actually more correctly, the people fought with him, not letting him talk because he prophesied the destruction. He told them that the end is near. Nobody wanted to hear him. So Yirmiyahu complains that Hashem forces him to talk to the people. Sorry, it's in chapter 20, not 27, chapter 20 of Yirmiyahu, of Jeremiah, verse 9. But we have to read the previous Pesukim. Yirmiyahu turns to Hashem and says, Pititani Adonai va'epat, Hazaktani v'tuchal, hayeti lishok kol hayom, kulo lo egli. He says, you have enticed me and I followed you naively. You forced me to do something and you empowered me, and now everybody mocks me. Ki midei adaber ezak, Hamas v'shod ikra, כי היה דבר אדוני לי לחרפה ולקלס כל היום. He says, as I talk, I scream. I said it is injustice. And he means that Hashem treated him in an unjust manner. Why? כי היה דבר השם לי לחרפה. The words of Hashem that I delivered to the people caused me to be disgraced and to be cursed. לקלס כל היום. ואמרתי לא אזכרנו ולא אדבר עוד בשמו. Just like the dove in the piyut of Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi, he says, I do not want to mention him. I do not want to speak in his name. But v'haya belibi ke'esh bo'eret. The words of Hashem in my heart are like a burning fire. Atzur be'atzmotai. That's something that is being contained in my bones. V'nil'eti kalchel ve'lo uchal. And I'm trying to contain it, and I cannot. Similarly, Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi says, v'hi betoch liba ke'esh bo'ara. Just like Yirmiyahu, she feels that she's not treated fairly by God, but she cannot hold herself back from saying his name and still believing in him. The next line, Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi goes to an even more direct criticism or attack, and he says, "Lama che'oyev tihye la, vehi piha lemalko shesh'acha pa'ara." Says, why do you treat her as if you are her enemy? And that also is an allusion to the words of Yirmiyahu in the book of Lamentations, in chapter 2, verse 4. Darach kashto ke'oyev. Hashem has become an enemy to Am Yisrael. So here he says, Lama ke'oyev. Why would you treat us like an enemy? Meanwhile, the visual image of that dove is like a bird waiting for the rain, the last rain. She's waiting for the rain of redemption. Very painful, very tragic picture of the bird, of the dove, which symbolizes Am Yisrael, opening its beak, trying to get a drop of water, but nothing comes. But despite all that, says Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi, despite what I said, despite all these arguments and criticism and the way we feel, we still believe, we didn't give up hope. Im kaveda bishmo ve'im tza'ara. Here's a wordplay in Hebrew. Kaveda ve'tza'ara is to be honored or to be belittled. But also kaveda means kaved, heavy, and also kavod. Tza'ara means tza'ir, but also little. It's like the word saghir in Arabic, which is spelled with a ayn. But also ve'im tza'ara, that she is suffering, from the word tza'ar. So he concludes, Yavo Elohenu ve'al yeherash, al kol sevivav esh me'od nis'ara. Let our God, let Hashem come and not keep quiet, and he will come surrounded by stormy fire. And this is a sort of a direct quote, a little paraphrase it from Tehillim chapter 50, verse 3. Yavo Elohenu ve'al yeherash, esh lefanav tochel, uzvivav nis'ara me'od. So in Tehillim it says, let Hashem come and not keep quiet. Fire will consume all around him, and his environs are taken by storm. And that is a day of judgment. So Rabbi Yehudah HaLevi concludes with a request for a day of judgment. He starts with a beautiful prayer poem speaking of the suffering of the dove, and ends with this request of judgment and justice for Am Yisrael. There's a very appropriate poem to the way in life of my grandfather, Alav Shalom, Rabbi Shaul Fetaya, who taught me this poem with the tune, and it turned out that he was the only one who knew the tradition of that piyut with the music. But thank God, through our family, we taught it to many different people, and now it is being sung around the world. And if you search for the words Yonat Rehokim, you will find the way many different renditions of the poem. I'll give you just one stanza from it. It goes like that. Yonat Rehokim Nadeda Yara La yelay Kashela veloyach La leit Nara la 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 la. התעופפה, התנופפה, חופפה. התעופפה, התנופפה, חופפה. סביב לדודה, סוחרה, סוערה. לה 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 לה.